Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Uptown Collective conversation. We're so grateful to be here with you today. We have our sisters Kimberly and Sherry here with us as we begin to think about and talk about the holiday blues, seasonal affective disorder, and just all of the things that can make us kind of a little sad during this time of year. But if this is your first time joining us, welcome. Welcome to the Uptown Collective Conversation. We are a collective of individuals, artists who support, other artists, mind, body, and spirit. We uphold the values of creativity, authenticity. And so we are just grateful to be here with each and every one of you today. So, today we're talking about the blues. We're not talking about the jazz blues. We're talking about the blue blues. And so we also have our sister Renika with us, joining us. Hey, y'all. So before we get started in the conversation, let's just do some check-ins, ladies, about what's going on with you as an artist. Briefly, if you want to share anything that's going on in your lives. And again, if you are joining us here, you can comment in the chat and you can talk to us. You can give questions. Please give us updates about how things are going with you in your life. And we are just excited to be talking to you. So make sure you're putting your questions and things there. So anybody want to start about, what's going on in their lives? What's happening? You want to go, Renika? No? Come on, Renika, share your news. You're so close here. Share your news.
We have some great news.
My show comes out on Thursday. I actually don't know what time it comes out, which sounds crazy, but it's on HBO Max. And that is that. That is that.
What is the show?
It's called The Sex Lives of College Girls.
So congratulations. So yes, Renika's show, The Sex Lives of College Girls, is going to be on HBO Max, and you're acting in that, and that's a big deal. That's a big deal. So we are super excited. How has press and all of those things been for you?
It's been very interesting. It's very interesting what they're interested in and what they're not interested in. I'll say that. But it's also like not, I'm playing a supporting role. So like the four girls who it's about, they get certain things. Those of us who are their friends, there are different types. There's different types of press. So.
Yes, but you're on a show all over the world. So I mean,
thank you, Lord.
Yes.
But I will say, to Renika's point, it is a learning process. It's like, Lord, we're gonna have to talk. We have to talk.
We gotta talk. It's very different.
Anybody else? Sherry, what's going on with you?
I just want to say that the hustle is real out here in these streets. I'm really excited for Renika. I'm so happy for you. And, I know the journey is still going, but, that's a feat, and so, but for me, without giving too much away, because sometimes I just don't like to jinx things, I'm still pounding this pavement. That's all I'm going to say.
Thank you. And Kimberly?
I am taking class with a teacher I love, and I am in the midst of doing a big marketing push / part of the actor business that I'm getting better at, that I'm in the midst of. So many emails, so many pieces of paper, so many stamps, but it's all good. It's all good.
And I'm the only non-actor on the things, but a lot has happened. And again, I've began to pitch, and I'm very much in the development phase of things. So it's crazy to have to, we talked about imposter syndrome, and it gets real when you start getting in front of executives and, networks and things, and you're pitching ideas and they're asking you questions. And it's been a journey, and I'm exhausted. But there are definitely some things moving. I can't quite talk about just yet, but things are moving. And so it's been very exciting, very scary to lean into to the fear, lean into my dreams, and trying to make this thing happen. So it's been great. So I'm excited about what updates I'll be able to share the next time we are together. But we're all still pounding the pavement, like you said, trying to make these things happen while doing other stuff, working other jobs, raising kids. And so if you have any updates, please make sure that you share. And without further ado, let's talk about the blues. let's talk about this season. We thought this is an important topic because I think that sometimes people make the assumption that everyone is happy around the holidays, and every year it's like they just skip. It's like it's Halloween and then it's Christmas. Like it's Black Friday now in like August. It's just like holidays, 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 and we make the assumption that that's an exciting time for everybody. And I don't think we often talk enough about how there are people who hate the holidays, who are upset about that, who are dealing with things that make the holidays a very difficult time, whether you've lost a loved one, whether you may be an artist who is always on, doing shows. And so you don't have the opportunity to spend with your family, or you just might be going through something. And so we wanted to have this conversation about the blues. And so let's just give a little context right before we start. And then ladies, we're gonna get into this conversation and sharing. There's something known as the holiday blues, and then there's seasonal affective disorder, or also known as very appropriately as SAD. So the difference between the holiday blues and SAD is that SAD kind of happens at the same time every year. So it's something that kind of happens when the seasons change, it starts getting darker. It's it happens a little bit closer to the fall. And then it runs through basically until the spring. And it literally is something like clockwork that happens every year. Whereas the blues the holiday blues just mostly come around the holiday. They have some of the same side effects, but one of the ways in which you know that you're experiencing one or the other is if this is happening to you typically the same time every year. And so some of the things you see are like you get depressed, you have low energy, your mood begins to change, you find that you have low motivation. And so I'm just curious about any of you alls, if you've had any experience with holiday blues, with seasonal affective, disorder. Some of those things come with being diagnosed with things like depression. And sometimes you don't have to be clinically diagnosed to be dealing with those things. So anybody want to share about their experience around that?
I have experienced both pretty consistently, at least with seasonal affective disorder. Having one of those lamps, those happy lights, I think is what it's called. It looks like an iPad. It's super bright. You plug it in for 5 to 15 minutes in the morning. Vitamins, water, exercise, that helps take the edge off. But y'all, I can take the cold, but cold and dark at the same time, starting at 4:30 is just rude. I just feel like it's too far. It's just too far. But that is easier for me to handle because I understand it's a circadian thing, right? It's literally about the lack of light. It's about my body's desire to be somewhere warmer and brighter. The holiday blues, I think since I was a tween or teen, it's been kind of a love-hate relationship with the holidays. I do love Christmas time, and I do hate Christmas time. It's wonderful to have family that I usually am with my family for the holidays, so that's a blessing. But you have weeks and weeks of ramp up, right? And you've got music and lights and decoration and everything's festive. And then it comes to a screeching halt in one day. And it's like, oh, those playlists are off Spotify. We don't talk about that anymore. Time for the new year and all that entails. I feel the struggle part of being an artist more around the holidays. I feel I don't want to say stigma of being single, but I am the only one of my sibling group. My 4 brothers are all in long-term relationships / married. So none of them understand dating apps, just certain things. It's like I go home and I get to see these adorable little children that I love so much. But I don't have any of my own yet. I have not found my, who I joke, future Mr. Kimberly Walker yet. No, I have not met him yet. But it's something that started to get a little easier about 3 years ago. Not that the feelings don't happen, but I literally laid in bed one Christmas morning for almost 3 hours before I left the room. And what got me out of bed, I was Googling. Yes, I had prayed. Yes, I had known that it was going to be emotionally demanding. But I said, you know what? Just treat it like whatever day of the week it was. I said, today is, so I don't know if it was Monday. I don't know. I'd have to look at a calendar. But it's like, today is it's Tuesday. And it's fine. Today is just Tuesday. Take the pressure off. So I just give myself grace and don't feel pressured to be too super happy. And, you know, I did explain to my parents that I might just disappear for a little bit here and there, just go spend some time alone in the guest room, and that's okay.
That's real. And Rachel is definitely on here saying that she identifies with you and it's a challenging time for her as well. And you also uplifted some of the things that you have done. Yes, like the mood lamp and all of those different things that kind of help. Because like you said, it literally, some of it, like at least with the seasonal affective disorder, is literally about where you are and how close you are to the equator. You can't do anything. And it literally, there's statistics that say the closer you are, you know, the darker it gets. Imagine being in a place like Alaska where it's 6 months of one and 6 months of the other, where you're just going to experience it. And it goes, you know, so I guess that also lets us know to be gracious with ourselves. Sometimes we think we're the only ones experiencing things if we're not talking about them, but knowing that there are literally people all around the world who feel the same way as you do and like to stuff, you know, fake Santa down the chimney. So anybody else, Renika or Cherry?
I'll share. I definitely always gain weight in the winter because I sit down and I'm like more prone to binging a show or watching a bunch of movies and just eating because that brings me comfort. And I also feel like I get out of routine in that way. Like I walk outside less because it gets darker earlier. I just walk less in general when it's cold, you know? And so that it affects me that way. And then also, I couldn't always afford to go home. Like I always had to pick one. I had to pick Thanksgiving or Christmas, and both are huge in my families. And I found myself getting really sad when I would see like my cousins and aunts and uncles like posting pictures and videos, and I wasn't able to be there. And then even the constant like calls, like "Where are you? Are you coming home?" That doesn't help either. What did help was doing like a Friendsgiving. That helped me. I did a sleepover one year on Christmas Eve, which helped. Um, and also like just getting outside on Christmas. Like I'm not a kid anymore. Like I don't necessarily need to be inside all day. Like that was like our thing, to just wake up and open presents and then eat breakfast and then play inside all day with your new toys. I'm not getting gifts. So like I can go outside and I can like I should explore New York in the winter, you know? So um, trying to keep a routine, honestly, when it gets cold. Like I had to force myself to work out today and I didn't want to. Like I was in bed most of the day, even though I have a ton of work to do. And I was like, you need to get up. And as soon as I worked out, I started my work. Like I have to do something physical, which I hate working out, by the way. I only do it because you know, the music on Peloton, it's really about the music. You know this.
It's good. You know you a fake-a-thon though, because you put the iPad on your bike.
First of all, it is not responsible to pay for a bike that costs more than my rent. So I'm gonna get a
You're
bike on
absolutely right.
Amazon and pay $12.99 a month until my rent's a little higher than I can justify. Everybody ain't like you this. I don't know
Oh, no. I bought a refurbished Peloton
Oh
first,
yeah, you did say that. Okay.
and it was a gift to myself after I paid off all of my student loans.
See, that's different though.
So it was
we
responsible.
Still have those things.
But I haven't been on it because it's cold. So we're here about that.
Talk about it.
But that is, like you said, that's one of the things that you help is keeping your routine. Like it's very hard when it's cold. It's like it's 40 degrees. What do you mean get up and do anything? And I think also just being gracious with the way your body's changed, right? I used to be up, I could get up at 6 and do right and work out and then feel good. But then when my kids keep getting up earlier and earlier, they like, hey girl, at 6, like, mommy, can I have a snack? Now I got to work out at night. And then I'm doing things at night and then I'm like wide awake because now I can't get sleep because all of my endorphins are up. So, you know, it's definitely learning how to just adjust, I think, and be gracious with what you are and experiencing. Sometimes we compare ourselves like to ourselves in a sense, like the older versions of, well, I used to be able to do this, or I was used to be able to do that. And it's not even us comparing ourselves to other people. It's what our measure is what we used to be able to do. And it's like, well, we can't do that anymore. We're in a new day, we're in a new moment, and we have to be able to accept whatever amount of capacity that we have in this moment to handle whatever we can handle. And so just understanding that, you know, we have different capacity than other people, but we also have different capacity within ourselves, depending on what is happening in our lives. Cherry, any experience around this?
Yes, there's several things that have been said that resonates with me about how when you were talking about the Peloton and, after paying off your student loans, my blues around the holidays has come from years ago when I made the decision not to buy presents for family members or buy presents for my parents in certain ways because because I wanted to pay off my credit card because I made a decision. I was like, oh my gosh, I need to pay off my student loans. I need to pay off my credit cards. I just want to put one away for emergencies, and then making that difficult decision, and then also measuring my worth against if I could get them things or not, because my mom would still be getting me things or buying me things, and I would feel guilty, and I'm like, I feel like a bad daughter because I'm making this choice for myself to put myself first in this way because I'm thinking 20, 50, 60 years from now because I don't want to be in debt. And so that struck, that triggered with me that. And then the sadness over the pandemic, the past 2 holidays, I haven't been able to see my family. I've been quarantining by myself. I'm the only child. And when the quarantine first started, when the pandemic started to hit, no one knew how long it was going to be, if it was a couple of weeks. And I was like, oh, I'm fine. I'm the only child. I love being by myself. I can be in my cocoon. Renika, like you said, I could stay in bed all day. This is like all these different things going through my head. And then when I started to realize, oh, this is like longer than, what I expected. And not being able to go home and my family making the decision, even after the vaccine came out, we're going to take last year's holidays and not see each other. It was really, really hard for me. I was really sad. And I have a little holiday blues now because I am happy for the first time I'm going to home for the holidays, which I'm excited about because I haven't seen my family in so long. But I'm also, I still have a little blues around that because I see my aunts and my uncles aging, and it's just there's so many things that I'm putting on myself, right? And also too, I love them, and I'm like, okay, after 5 days, I'm back on the plane because I love you. You know what I mean? And then I feel guilty about that because you would think that after not seeing anybody for a long time, and then I'm gonna go like I'm dipping in and out. It's just I'm going through so much with it, but yeah, and that's where I get the blues from, all of that. So yeah.
Yeah, Rachel said, when I started being fiscally responsible, the holiday experience changed. Like there was a disconnect and I turned inward, learning better ways. And I think that's also some of why people can hate the holidays or because it becomes about obligation and not about what you want to do. It becomes about everybody else, what the expectation is. And that can be super, super stressful. It's like, okay, I got to get this amount, I got to spend this amount of money. And some of the, like some of the things, you think about, like when you were a kid and maybe your parents didn't have any money. And I'm like, I get it, the reason, but it was so smart. Like I remember when I was younger, one Christmas, my mom, don't kill me, Mom, if you're watching, she told each of us, you got $100, that's what we have for you to get something for Christmas. And me being the type A, I made my list of exactly what I wanted for the $100. And then and then I was happy, but this notion that you have to spend much and do so much and be so much is just, it becomes a lot. And it's like you're around people. And if you're a certain type of personality, people can drain you when maybe you might just want to be by yourself. It might just be something that you have to take, it's not about any of those things. And so I think that that's another reason why the holidays can kind of be depressing. And then, like you said, to your point, Renika, we eat more, we definitely drink more, we do all these things, and a lot of those things actually are counterproductive to getting out of your bluesy space. Like we're like, okay, well, let me just drink all this wine here. No, that's just going to make you feel worse. And those are things that they suggest that you really shouldn't do. Even though they're the things that comfort us, they're not the things that are going to kind of help us get out of the space. And someone else here said that they feel you, Cherry, you're the only child. They're the only child too. And the solo quarantining is hard. And I think it's being able to identify, like, so I've never been I've been a big Thanksgiving person because of being around my family, but I was never a super big Christmas person until I had kids. And so my excitement becomes around Christmas for them. But then I realized this year when I was like, I have zero excitement about it, that I was like, oh, yeah, something's wrong this year. Something's different, where I'm like, we can cancel all of it. I'm not going to do that. But, being able to also identify things about yourself where it's like, okay, this isn't even exciting in these ways. Something is off. Something is going on, and being in tuned enough to figure out what those things are. And if it's like, it means sometimes if you have a therapist, talking to a therapist, it might be doing some research, it might be adjusting a routine, but recognizing that, hey, sometimes we think we're just sad, right? Or sometimes we just think, and I think especially as sometimes because I know there are a lot of women and probably Black women who are on here, and that's not to eliminate anybody else, but oftentimes when you carry a weight of so many different things, you just think you're like, oh, I'm just tired, or I'm just this, or I'm just that. And it's like, no, something is really, really wrong. And you need to do your due diligence to kind of check off the list of what's going on, whether that's seeing a psychiatrist, whether that's seeing a therapist, whether that's, going to your primary care, whether it's just trying to identify what's happening, because we can go through depression and things and they just be momentary. They can be, that doesn't mean it's forever, but sometimes you have to get on medication to get regulated for a little bit. Sometimes you have to do these things, and not allowing the stigma around things to stop you from getting the help that you need. Yeah, go ahead, Kimberly.
Two things that resonated, I just want to pick up on. And just right near the end there, I've been on medication for depression for almost a year, because I remember talking to a doctor and saying, yeah, going into December, the way I feel now, I know it's only going to get worse. So I need to get ahead of this thing. And I don't feel any stigma around it. Thank God. And thank God for a really good therapist. Being someone who is very comfortable with solitude and likes freedom of movement and space, I've beaten up on myself in the past for being like, you need to go downstairs and be social. You need to go and see your brothers. You need to go and talk to them. But I'm also like, or I could just have a cup of tea quietly and just like read a chapter in this book that I brought with me, and then go and see people and not feel guilty about it. But something that dawned on me when you were talking, Des, is one thing that I hoped last year, when we were still in a scarier, for me, what was a scarier phase of the pandemic that we're very much still in, was I hope that we remember what we value now when we do get to these holidays again. Like, I hope that we're not inundated with ads and specials and sales, because how many people just haven't gotten to hug their parents? I mean, if your parents are in the land of the living, thank God. Mine are cancer survivors. My mom's she started radiation last week. Like, I just want time with my family. And so the number of emails that I have gotten from various stores and boutiques, I'm just very disappointed, not surprised, but it's kind of like, oh, okay. So there seems to be this pervasive attitude that we're making up for lost time in stuff. Like, last year, I wasn't concerned about gifts that I did or didn't get anybody. Like, does anyone else feel that? Because for me, I'm just, to be honest, kind of disgusted by how materialistic it seems.
Yeah.
I mean, look at how many people have died. Lives have been changed forever. And it's just kind of like, nope, jingle bells and sell these gifts. I'm like, really? This is what we're doing after the last 20 months that we've all lived through?
It was actually kind of jarring for me. I walked into a TJ Maxx last week, and to see all the Christmas stuff was actually overwhelming. And I was like, oh, that is a part of Christmas. That is a part of it. Like, I'm planning to go home. I didn't get to go home last year. I'm very excited to be there, but I totally forgot about the gifts. And to the point that we were talking about earlier, I will never forget this one time we said we weren't doing gifts. And I felt so good about going home, because I'm like, okay, I'm going to pay this $250 to fly home, and we're just going to spend time together, and we're going to eat. And on Christmas morning, everybody, my dad, my mom, my brother, everybody got me gifts. I mean, and each other. And I felt horrible. I said, no, I thought we weren't doing this. And all of them were like, well, we're not going to get you a gift. And I was like, no, but I can't afford this right now. And it makes me feel terrible. I thought we were just going to watch Christmas movies and drink eggnog, like, I'm more into that. The older I get, I mean, I don't know. I don't know when it started for me because like we were a huge toy family, and then all of a sudden I stopped caring about it. I hear you, Des. Though I feel like when I have kids, I'm going to be excited about their experience and less about like me. But yeah, I'm not excited about the gift part. I'm kind of hoping I can get out of it this year, but I don't know if I can because people have other expectations of me now that we won't discuss.
So, but I think that there's several things, right? One, we have to separate people like capitalism from people, because people probably do feel like they have to make up for lost time. And when people are sad and things, we tend to overcompensate. So yeah, I do think that if somebody wants to put their Christmas tree up now in June because it makes them feel happy, and we've had a crappy 19 months, then put your tree up. Like, I don't think, there's that, but that's different than businesses who are going to try to get their money. And then you see all those things with like supply chain where they're like, order it now, because if you don't order it now, it's not going to be here in time. And but it is about the memories. And, I don't remember, and I don't have most of the stuff that I got, but I can remember all of us wearing the same pajamas, or, my sister, she didn't put out like milk. I never believed in Santa because I was that kid, but my sister used to put out like, I think, cookies and beer for Santa. Not milk, beer. So those are the things that you kind of tend to remember. But also, like, can we just this year decide that we're going to choose ourselves? Like, that is the gift. Can you choose yourself? So the thing is, like, if you don't want to buy people gifts, guess what? People will get over it. And if that is the extent of what someone's relationship is, where they're mad because they didn't get a gift, like, that's a relationship that in this season might need to be reevaluated. Like, I mean, can we just all choose to be able to do what we want with the lives that we have? Should that be we want to buy gifts or not? But it's not like a competition, but it can often feel that way. And those who are at the, don't have as much money or don't have as much, feel like they can't. And that's not great. Just real quick, Maria, you said you're looking for a good therapist for your teen daughter. Any recommendations? If you email me, let's see, can I put my email in the chat? Let's see, I will figure out how to get my email in the chat. Or if you have my email, delder, if you have delder at fcbcnyc.org or delder at dreamcenterharlem.org, then we can talk about finding some recommendations for your daughter.
Because you helped me.
Oh, yes, but my therapist, I've given my therapist to everybody, and then now I'm like, Lord, can I get an appointment?
You got to get that recurring slot.
Right. Listen, so I have a great therapist, but there's also a ton of great therapists. And if you need something immediate, I don't want you to have to wait, 2 months to do that. And Rachel, you said it's hard to reconcile the reality of now with the external unrealistic expectations of society. But I think that's just the jostle of anything, whether you're a believer, whether you're an artist, whatever, is that constant jostling of what the world says you should be doing, and how you actually choose to do it, and how you like kind of deal with the tension and the pressure of that. Wanda, you said you made the decision several years ago to stop spending so much money for Christmas, and you do not let yourself feel bad if someone still chooses to buy you a gift. Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, why do we feel guilty if someone wants to buy, if you don't buy them the gift, but that's what they wanted to do. Like, that's what their choice was. And sometimes we feel like things have to be so equal that we just feel like, oh, but I should have. But that's what they wanted to do out of the abundance of their heart. If you think about the love languages, right? Some people, acts of service. Some people love to receive gifts. So people often like to give in the love language that they like to receive. So that, it just may mean that some people just love buying people gifts and they don't even want anything in return. That is just their joy. So, letting people do that. M and L Organics, you say years ago your mom and your mom started buying each other experiences that you can do together. That's cool. Walking tour shows, unique off the beaten path places to explore. You highly recommend it. That's what I love about New York. I don't like the cold. Like, I don't. I'll be Cali till I probably die. But there's so many free things to, so I love we love like going to, the girls going to look at all of the lights in Diker Heights, like where it's like Christmas exploded.
Where's that?
And that's not Brooklyn. I think it's Brooklyn, but it's this whole entire, I'll send you the information, where it is just lights on lights on lights on lights on lights on lights, backflip lights, oh, some more lights. And then there's the one house that doesn't have lights that you're like, and then lights on lights on lights on lights on lights. But you can just walk that for an hour, or you can drive it, and it's tons of people, but it's free. But you get to see it's just fun. It's just like fun to do. Or the first year I moved here and I went and saw like the tree at Rockefeller Center. A lot of it sometimes is like overrated, but you did it. Or you can go on Fifth Avenue and see, Diker Heights is BK the Brooklyn. Can you spell it out? Because Rachel.
It is.
BK. Oh, BX is Bronx.
Bronx.
Don't do me. Don't do that. Okay.
I have a question.
But I've been there, so I know how to get there with my Google Maps. If I don't know what borough it's in. But thank you. See, everyone's like Brooklyn, 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 Brooklyn. Yes.
Oh, they do the same in the front. Does anyone feel better with the new year, or is that worse? Do y'all include the new year in the blues? Okay.
Yeah, it's all there. It's all there.
I feel like the new year is a fake, for me.
Yeah.
It's like
January. It's just there's a lot of
pressure,
self-imposed pressure and external pressure. It's like new year, new you. Okay, start fresh. What did you not finish last year? Time to go. It's like stop. Oh gosh, yeah. January, honestly, is a month that I just have to survive, to be honest. I'm just like, let me just get through January.
Well, everybody survived because they don't spend $2 million in December on other people Maggie and ramen noodles for like 6 weeks. Yeah.
Well, I will say this, for me, it's as I'm getting comfortable with the choice of, not buying gifts. When the holidays come up, to your point, Kimberly, what you were saying earlier about the commercials and everything, there's like this relief off of my shoulders of like, okay, I don't have to, I made this choice. I'm in it. It's the right decision for me. And so to have that pressure, because I remember before that choice was made, how I was feeling. And for New Year's, I find that when I decide to do New Year's by myself, and I toast myself, I buy a little champagne thing and I toast myself and I clean my house. I did a tradition. I clean my house. I make sure everything's clean. So when the new year, you want the house to be clean. You have your black-eyed peas, your cornbread, the collard greens. Like I get that ready, and I find if I make that choice to go, you know what, I'm going to do this for myself. And when the new year comes, I feel much more hopeful and I feel better, as opposed to if I go to a party and hang out, ringing the new year.
Church. Because some people have been in church.
Yeah, but I will say this. I will say this. The times I have been in church, I do love it, but I do make sure my meal and food, everything is cooked first and the house is clean when I have done some of the watch services. And I feel good after that too. It's like a decision I make for myself as opposed to being in the streets, because if I make the decision to go away from church or away from home, I just don't feel good afterwards. And so I just don't want to hang out at the parties. I just feel really depressed. So I find for me, if I spend it by myself or at church, like you say, I feel much better.
Yeah, ain't nobody trying to be with their legs out on New Year's Eve. Not me. I'll be like, not me. I can't do it. It's with the glitter dress. It's cold. I'm gonna be in a snuggie. I just don't have time for this. Rachel said outside of go ahead, Vernica.
Sorry, I was gonna say sometimes church don't hit the same though, because all the strangers be there. And I'm not trying to judge.
Because all the strangers.
Yeah, but it's just the same. It's like, dang, I can't even get a seat. I go here for real. It's like, like
I get a little salty too, because I'm like, everybody know my spot, and I'm like, you know my spot on New Year's Eve. Like that's my spot. What you doing?
If y'all don't let people have New Year's and Resurrection Sunday, y'all better just leave the folk. Let them have it.
It's me though, but I'm trying.
Yeah, you need to try harder. Try harder. It's okay. Let the folk come in and get it.
No, they can come, but I think we should do it like we used to do it, where the tourists sit at the top.
It's pandemic. There will be no international visitors. So just Lord help the people.
Carrie, I feel what you said though. I also, if I'm by myself, or if I just stay in, like last year, I actually was at my parents' place for New Year's, and just, being in, it's like, okay, let's pop some popcorn on the stove. We can watch a little bit of whatever they're doing out there in Times Square, whatever, little concerts and such. But yeah, I find a bubble bath, a glass of wine,
You do a bath in the New York
frankly,
tub?
sometimes I might go to bed before midnight on New Year's Eve. Like, because you know what? It's just the calendar is changing. The calendar is changing. But yeah, just take care of myself because I know how I feel about January. So it's like, and I know how I feel most of December. So just being gentle, kind, and just like, hey, what are some healthy things that I can do to indulge just a tiny bit so that I will feel good when I wake up and it's January 1st. And then I do that. Yeah. Like, because if I go to a party, I will be home by 9:30.
Yeah, no, because I try to be in bed by 8:46 because like it's just like what's happening. Because I'm synced up with when the girls go to bed. I'm like, okay, I'm tired. Like, so it's a lot. But also, I applaud you for having a whole bubble bath in a New York tub. That's great.
I need you to stop with this shade of the New York tub. She may have some strong bleach that you don't know about.
Oh, the cleansers. There are so
I'm talking about the space. Like you're in this.
Oh yeah. I mean, I get in the bathtub and I Epsom salts, bubble bath, or bath bombs. I'll listen to an episode of LeVar Burton Reads, or I'll listen to some other podcast. Oh yes.
No, my kids take the bath bombs and put them in the tub, so I don't have none. Anyway, so
bath bombs, girl.
Listen. But yes, I mean, I think that is just like some of even what we're talking about, like just, making, finding the places and spaces, even if it's not church, but where you can be around people or not. Like, I think it's just like the or not. It does, I think sometimes we're just like, it has to be this or that. It could be some version of that, like that makes sense for you. The mood lamps and things though, those don't sleep on the mood lamps. That can really help with like in the creating the false sunlight. A lot of it too, it sounds like really, but like taking vitamin D, because some of it's about having a vitamin D deficiency because the sun's not out. So even those very small things might help you just, feeling a little bit better. And I think just again, like setting realistic expectations of yourself and just knowing, okay, like this time of year, I'm not going to get as much done as I normally would do here, there, or everywhere. And again, if we see seasons, right? We see seasons in the city. Like, why don't we allow ourselves to go through seasons? Why do we think we have to be on in the exact same way? Like grind, hustle, whatever, 365, instead of being like, no, I'm personally going through, this is my winter. This is my summer. It may not link up with what's going on in the world, but right now, it's winter. And that heifer might not last 3 months. She might last 7 months this time, and just being okay with like, this is what this is, but also then being encouraged that it doesn't last forever, right? It doesn't, even storms, their goal is not to stay, right? A storm never comes to stay. Seasons don't come to stay. They serve a particular purpose in our lives. And if we're able sometimes to, dial into what the season or what that thing is saying for us, I think we can find like opportunity versus an obstacle in this season for us. And yes, Monique, yeah, clearly it's not at you. Yeah, it's not only you feeling that way about folk coming in to church and things. Listen, all are welcome. All are welcome. And then Rachel said, Lord, help us. Yes, help us. But, and this year, I think we are going to have an in-person New Year's Eve service. So we will see.
Get there at 4 p.m., people.
Don't come at 4 p.m. So do not come at 4 p.m. Like one service. We have like one service. But yeah, I just think that I don't know if there's anybody on the chat who has questions or anything that you want to say. Again, we were talking about like the blues versus like seasonal affective disorder. And again, there's if you need support around that on top of articles, you can talk to people. You'd be surprised sometimes when you just begin to kind of be transparent and share about what you're experiencing, that there are so many other people who are around you who may be going through the same types of things and have tools or resources that can support, that. And knowing that it's, that it is okay. It is okay to feel what you feel. Like emotions are not bad. We were given all of these emotions, and these things are, so we should feel them and experience them. And I think sometimes we're so quick to to get past certain things, that we don't allow ourselves the journey of just going like through this thing. Okay, I'm sad because of A, B, or C. So let me sit in the sadness, and what can my sadness teach me? What can my grief teach me? What can my anger teach me? And allow them to be teaching tools to us versus being adversity or something that we have to get past or get over to get to happy, because happy is fleeting as well. Like everything is fleeting. And so just being appreciative of what our bodies are telling us, and going through the journey with ourselves so that we can kind of be present with ourselves. Yeah. Anything else that anybody wants to share, whether it's in the chat, whether it's here, any of the ladies here, anything that you're wanting to say?
I just want to say, I just love connecting with you ladies and just having conversations like these, because it just helps me get through. So thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you to everyone who joined on and are sharing, or you're here. I hope that even if you didn't say anything, that you know that you're not alone, and it doesn't matter where you're coming from, doesn't matter what position you have, it doesn't matter. Like we all go through and experience these things and kind of have these moments, and that is what makes us human. And so I'm very grateful that we have these opportunities and spaces as well to kind of talk and journey through these things.
Yeah, and I love, Des, what you said about like acknowledging how you feel and allowing yourself to sit in it, because I think so many of us can relate to people telling us not to be sad, or reminding us to remember we're blessed and we're grateful and all these things. But it's just like, I think we need to allow, especially our kids, the kids, like you're allowed to feel how you feel. You're allowed to check in with yourself and acknowledge it and then move from there. So if that's where you are in this season, take the time to take care of yourself. Like I needed to hear that, so thank you for saying that.
Yeah, I mean, there's literally a whole book called Lamentations. It's laments. Like that was a type of prayer. If you're a believer, like lamenting, oh Lord, why have you forsaken me? Thou don't knowest what I'm going through. It's like it was just a whole, like Jeremiah was the weeping prophet because he was just everywhere crying all the time about all his situation. So there is a space for your laments and your feelings and your complaint. We just kind of always are like, yeah, let's be happy. But no, there is a place and space for your lamenting, for your hurt, for your pain. And ignoring it or like trying to skip over it doesn't make it go away. It just means that someone then asked you to pass the salt, and then you wonder why you you just threw a vase at the wall. Like, oh, I may be angry. Maybe I
Has
need to
someone
talk to
ever
somebody.
asked you, "Are you okay?" and then you just start crying? Like,
Yeah, I'm sure. You're like, yeah. So like all the things, you're just like, what is happening? Because we're not present with ourselves and our emotions. So yes. So it is great. This will be our last conversation for what year are we in? Lord, 2021. But we will be coming back in 2022. On top of that, we're going to be bringing some other things. We are going to begin doing like table reads. So if you are an artist who is trying to hear your work out loud, we'll be pairing you with professional actors who in a safe closed setting you can work through your thing. We'll be doing staged readings that you'll be able to again premiere new work. Cherry's going to be teaching act from your soul. We're going to be doing also some very tangible types of things that help support artists. And if you think that there's something that you'd like to see or a conversation you'd like to see us have, let us know. We are artists, but the human experience is collective. And so it does not have to be something that just affects artists in order for us to talk about it. So keep posted, dreamcenterharlem.org. Renika dropped a blog. She'll be dropping another one. So you can go there and see just blogs about experiences. And again, we're here, we're open. We are excited to continue this conversation with y'all. Enjoy the holidays or not, or not, whatever one you choose. But have a great rest of the evening.